What's good, everybody? It's your boy Martine, aka the Boxing Purist. Welcome once again to the Truth and Absolute channel, where I speak the truth and nothing but the truth. So help me, good God Almighty. Okay, guys. So there's kind of a little buzzing topic out there, right? Little buzzing topic, and I didn't want to make a video to it. Honestly, I kind of wanted to leave it alone, but at the same time, I'm like, you know what? It's the Truth and Absolute channel, baby. It's non-biased, and we talk it straight up and straight down, and that's just how we're gonna do it. So I saw a video, Max Kellerman, a little bit, a few days, a couple weeks maybe ago, talking about Canelos Legacy. I saw a couple other YouTube channels where they were talking about, is Canelos Legacy tainted, right? There's little discussions, little talks out there, and I'm thinking to myself, like, wait a minute, did y'all forget? Did y'all forget? Now, let me make one thing really, really clear, okay? The reason I like to cover boxing is because boxing is one sport where I actually like the sport more than any other fighter, or more than any fighter, which means I could look at any fight from a non-biased standpoint. You know what I'm saying? I got no dog in the fight. I like picking winners. I hate being wrong. I like calling how styles match up, how they clash, and I like picking a winner. But rooting for someone, my favorite fighter retired a few years back, and even then, I got to call it how I see it. It's boxing, right? So now let's talk about Canelo for a little bit, talking about his legacy is tainted and this and that. And the examples that they give are mind-blowing. They're really mind-blowing because I'd expect these arguments from a casual fan that doesn't know boxing outside of Instagram followers, TikTok videos, the person that watches a casual pay-per-view event when it's a huge event and the celebrities are there and everybody's there. I expect these arguments from them. I don't expect these arguments from, should I say, boxing purists or actual boxing fans. I don't expect these arguments from them. So let's start with Canelo right now. The arguments out there is that Canelo fought a lot of fighters past their prime, which is very true. Sugar Shane Mosley, Sergey Kovalev, those are the only ones coming to mind right now, right? You can make an argument Miguel Cotto was on his way down to, okay, valid, very valid, that is true. What's other ones? Now they talk about a couple of Canelo's losses, right? The Bivol fight, they talk about it like if it's a bad thing, okay. And the first Triple G fight, which I agree, on paper, it's a draw. We all saw that fight. I feel like Triple G won a close fight. I scored it 7-5 for Triple G. Valid, okay. This is what I'm gonna say though. If we're gonna hold Canelo to those dynamite, high, touch the sky, Superman standards, what does that say about everybody else in the sport? Let's turn the clock back a little bit. When Canelo was up and coming, there was obstacles Canelo had to jump to get a big money fight that these boxers today, they don't have to. They speak it into existence. They get the matchmakers, the promoters, they make the fight happen, even if it's too soon. Canelo didn't have that easy route. Let me remind you guys that Canelo was fighting the Carlos Baldemirs, Kermit Cintron, let me see, who else? The Gomez's. He had to fight people to get fights. You know what I'm saying? I'm trying to think of other fighters. Sugar Shane Mosley, example. For Canelo to land the Floyd Mayweather fight, he had to fight on a few of Floyd Mayweather's pay-per-view undercards, and then he had to fight Austin Trout for the 154-pound title. Let me remind you guys, Austin Trout was an undefeated fighter who had just beaten Miguel Cotto for that 154-pound belt at that time. Canelo jumped up. Not that he jumped up in weight. I'm talking about he jumped up in competition, fought Austin Trout, got the W against Austin Trout. He didn't clean him up, but he did win a close fight against Trout to land the Floyd Mayweather fight. Obviously, we know how that ended. He went on to fight Floyd. Floyd schooled him. I'd like to say that Floyd took Canelo to school and Canelo graduated. Okay, but after that, look at the man's resume. Alfredo Angulo. Damn, it goes on and on. James Kirkland. Who else did he fight in that crazy run? He fought and beat Miguel Cotto. Okay, he was on his way down. Miguel Cotto was still a game fighter. Who else did he fight in that reign? And then they talk about fights like Lara. Oh, he should have lost the Lara fight, this and that. Let me tell you something. I watched the Lara fight. Lara, I could say Canelo didn't beat Lara. Lara lost the fight for himself because as good as boxer as Erislandy Lara is, there was a lot of rounds where he wasn't boxing. Don't hit me with this is boxing. It's hit and don't get hit. I'm totally with that. Boxing purist, baby. But there was a few rounds where he was just straight up running around the ring, almost like De La Hoya against Tito, the last 5 rounds of their fight way back in 2000. You can't score those rounds for Lara. It doesn't matter what you think you have in the bag. You're not going to get the nod against the champion that way. So Lara lost it for himself. But may I remind you, that was a high-risk, low-reward fight for Canelo. Canelo did not have to fight Erislandy Lara. There's nothing that Lara had that was going to elevate Canelo. It was strictly Canelo adding to his legacy, and he took that fight. Let me remind you guys, it's the same Lara that called out Demetrius Andrade, and Andrade didn't want to fight him. He actually beat Andrade in the amateurs. It's the same Lara that called out Triple G, and Triple G had wanted nothing to do with Lara. Why didn't none of these guys want nothing to do with Lara? Because it was a high risk, low reward. Guess what? Canelo did it. They want to talk about Sergey Kovalev. Oh, he beat Sergey Kovalev past his prime. Correct. He didn't beat the Crusher. He beat Sergey Kovalev. However, he jumped up in weight to 175 to beat the bigger man in Kovalev. Yes, it wasn't the Crusher, but tell me who else is jumping up in weight. And it wasn't like Kovalev was a bum at that time. It wasn't like he was a bum. He just wasn't the Crusher anymore. But he jumped up in weight to do so. Now let's talk about the super middleweight run. Are we just going to ignore the fact that in 1 year's time, this man fought everybody, right? Callum Smith. Right now is a great fight for Beterbiev, but for Canelo, he was a cherry. Makes no sense. They said Canelo would not fight Billy Joe Saunders. They said Billy Joe Saunders had Canelo's ticket. He was going to be the one to beat Canelo. Canelo broke his face. Not only did he break his face, he fought him. He got in the ring and he fought him. Caleb Plant, an undefeated Caleb Plant, may I remind you. An undefeated Caleb Plant who is a slick boxer. Plant had heavy hands, he'd be on a whole different level. But however, undefeated Caleb Plant, Canelo knocks him out. After he does that, what does Canelo do? He jumps to 175 to face the number 2 ranked light heavyweight in Dimitri Bivol, who we knew from the beginning was a monster if you knew the sport. A lot of y'all were saying, cherry pick, go fight Benavidez. Let me tell y'all something. Bivol is a way tougher fight for Canelo than David Benavidez. Call it what you want. It's the truth stylistically, size-wise. Bivol was the harder fight by far, right? He lost to Bivol, whatever. Oh, and I forgot to mention, he rematched Golovkin and beat him in the second fight. Fought him a third time. The third time you can argue was probably just to kind of seal something in Canelo. Canelo knows he lost that first fight. He wanted to, go up 2-1 to Golovkin. He knew inside that he lost it, and he did it. Okay. John Ryder, it was a comeback fight. What could we expect at that point? Now, let me ask y'all this. If we're going to say that run, and I'm not remembering everybody right now. I'm just naming what I recall right now. If we're going to say that his legacy is tainted, then what does that say about everybody in the boxing world after Floyd retired, after Canelo? What does that say about everybody else who's come in? Because let me tell y'all something. A lot of you guys call Tank Davis the face of boxing. Look at Tank's resume. I'm not knocking Tank. This is truth and absolute, baby. Non-biased. I'm just keeping it real. Look at the man's resume. 28 years old. His toughest fight is Ryan Garcia. The one that a lot of y'all used to call the Instagram YouTube fighter, which I agree. The kid spends way too much time on that. But let's not forget, that is his toughest opponent at 28 years old, right? I would say the closest resume to Canelo's right now, and it's just close, not that close, Earl Spence. Earl Spence has a solid resume. But what does that say about everybody else in the boxing game who's active right now if we're going to say that Canelo's legacy is tainted? Listen, it's okay to dislike a fighter. That's perfectly fine. I'll give you an example. I'm not a huge fan of Manny Pacquiao. I never was really a big fan of Manny Pacquiao. But it's one thing to say I'm not a fan, and it's another thing to say that he's garbage. Come on, y'all. Let's not be biased. Let me know what y'all think. Comment down below. If you're not subscribed already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Let's keep this channel growing, y'all. Much love. I'll speak to y'all soon. God bless. Peace.